This week on Crime Investigator, we discuss how a police officer is making a murderer. This case happened in Manitowoc County, United States. He served 18 years for a crime he didn't commit. Just as he files for compensation from the government, he is involved in another murder case. What actually happened in that time? How did the police team up to falsify evidence? Why did the police charge him twice without further investigation? Let's get into it. His name is Steven Avery. He was born in 1962. Because of his family's close marriage, Steven has an IQ of 70. This is barely a normal level of intelligence. Steven was born in Manitowoc County, in eastern Wisconsin. It is located on the Lake Michigan and the Great Lakes. Steven lives here and has 3 siblings. Since 1965, his family has been running a junkyard in the northern part of Manitowoc County. The junkyard is considered large and is widely known by locals. But the people of Manitowoc County didn't like the Avery's family. Not only because they were close married, but also because they were troublemakers, especially Steven. In 1981, Steven at the age of 18 was serving a 2-year sentence for stealing from a bar. He served 10 months in the Manitowoc County Jail. After his discharge, Steven was imprisoned again on the charge of animal cruelty. Steven then married a single mother at the age of 19. A few years later, several of his daughters were born. This seemed like a well-turned and happy life. But how exactly was he being set up? Steven has a cousin, and this cousin, Sandra Morris, said Steven liked to do indescribable things naked on the lawn or the street. Then the rumor got wider and wider. This made Steven feel very ashamed. One day, Steven saw his cousin driving by the house. Steven got angry, then crashed and stopped his cousin's car and pulled out an unloaded gun and pointed it at her. Steven warns his cousin to stop spreading rumors about him. His cousin was married to William, a Manitowoc County deputy sheriff. He immediately files a charge at the county police station. He minimized the part about her provocation, extremely exaggerate the danger she faced at the time. For example, they say Steven intentionally say that the empty gun was loaded. In January 1985, Steven was convicted of 2 counts of felony endangerment and possession of a firearm. As a result, Steven's reputation in the area was getting worse. However, that wasn't the worst of it. What happened next made his name known all over Manitowoc County. On July 29, 1985, at about 3:50 p.m., a woman named Penny Bjornson was jogging alone along Lake Michigan. She was then accosted by a man. Penny refused to communicate with him. But the man became annoyed and pushed Penny to the ground. And dragged her into the side of the forest and violated her. Penny was seriously injured, and the man ran away. The Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department received a call soon after. After listening to Penny's description of the attacker, a deputy named Judy said, "This guy sounds like Steven Avery." The deputy chief, Judy, lived across the street from Steven's cousin, Sandra Morris, and they were close friends. She also had a bias against Steven, and she was the one who pointed the finger to Steven. Judy was taking report to her while knowing that Penny was hit hard and couldn't read with her blurred vision. However, she still asked Penny to sign the report she had prepared. Penny had no idea what she had signed. Based on the investigation, the police officer who did the victim's portrait during that time was actually sketching with Steven's picture framed on the bottom of sketch paper. Not drawn based on the victim's memory. Therefore, no matter how the victim describes the suspect's face for the portrait, it will still look like Steven. Memories are easily guided and manipulated. They showed the portrait to the victim, Penny, and then asked Penny to point out the suspect among several suspects. Penny immediately picks out Steven. As a result, Steven is arrested by the police and becomes the main suspect in this case. However, the description given by Penny at the beginning of the case, including height, weight and eye color, does not match with Steven. Of course, Steven denied the case. He showed a receipt from a shop. The receipt shows a time soon after the crime, and the shop was at least 40 miles away from the scene of the crime. Besides that, there were 16 other witnesses who could testify against him. But Penny was brainwashed by the police and very strongly pointed out in court that Steven was the attacker. The Manitowoc County District Court convicted Steven of 3 counts of sexual assault, attempted murder, and false imprisonment. Steven was sentenced to 32 years in prison. While serving his sentence, Steven's wife divorced him. Only his parents, who believed in his innocence, did not give up on him. A Manitowoc County deputy named Andrew Colburn received a call from the Brown County Sheriff's Department. During the call, the Brown County deputies said they had a suspect in custody, named Allen, a man with several convictions for sex crimes and violence. He claims he attacked a woman in Manitowoc County, but now someone is serving time in jail for him, which sounds very similar to the Stevens case. So Manitowoc County Constable Andrew Colburn reported the information to his supervisor, Detective James Lenk. But the Manitowoc County officers refused to investigate it. The chief sheriff said they didn't arrest the wrong person, and they insisted that Stephen remain in jail. For many years, Stephen's parents tried to appeal. Finally, in 2002, a new evidence was discovered. Police extracted a DNA of a man named Aaron from the hairs collected at the crime scene that year. And he had already hinted that he did it in 1995. It was finally confirmed that Aaron was the one who really attacked Penny that year, and that Stephen was wrongly convicted. In September 2003, Stephen, who had spent 18 years and 06 months in prison for wrongful conviction, was released. It all seemed to be getting better, but Stephen's real nightmare was only just beginning. Both the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department and the District Attorney are responsible for this miscarriage of justice. After his discharge from jail, Stephen immediately filed a civil lawsuit against the Chief Sheriff of Manitowoc County and the Crown Prosecutor. The trial ran for 2 years, and it was 2005. Stephen's wrongful conviction lawsuit was still pending. But he is drawn into another murder case. On November 3, 2005, the Manitowoc County, Wisconsin Police Department received a call from a mother. The caller stated that her daughter, Teresa Helbach, was 25 years old, a photographer. She had been missing for several days. Teresa went missing 3 days ago, on October 31st. On that day, she was driving a 1999 dark green Toyota RAV4 with a license plate number SWH582. According to the police investigation, the last location Teresa went to was Stephen's junkyard. The junkyard is located in the northern part of Manitowoc County, and the entire junkyard covers 16 acres. Stephen's family mostly lives in this area. Stephen's home is northwest of the junkyard. His cousin Brandon's home is not far from his home. Teresa was at Stephen's junkyard because they had to take some photographs for car ads. Therefore, Teresa come to Stephen's house to take photograph, and this was not the first time she had been there. A group of Teresa's friends and family searched for her in the towns around Manitowoc County, but nothing was found. November 5, 2005. Teresa's cousin found Teresa's Toyota in Stephen's junkyard. The car was covered with branches and strips of wood and seemed to be purposely hidden. Manitowoc County Police then applied for a search warrant. They planned to cordon off the Stephen's junkyard and planned to conduct an 8-day searching starting from November 5. The following searching made most people believe that he was the killer. However, when the details of the crime were discovered, almost everyone could not believe that even the main evidence was planted by the police. On the 4th day of the searching, they found a burning pit in Stephen's yard. In the pit were found human bones that had been burned to pieces. Police extracted DNA from a piece of the remaining muscle fibers and teeth. It was confirmed that the remains bones were those of the missing person, Teresa. Burned tires and wire were also found around the pit. Forensic tests showed that the victim's skull had been shot and was definitely murdered. They also found a car key in Stephen's bedroom. This car key was crucial because it was the key of the Teresa's Toyota. Police found blood on the hood of the car and on the keys of the car. And Stephen's DNA was extracted. However, Stephen's fingerprints were not found in the car. Based on the evidence found, the case was classified as a murder, and Stephen was a major suspect in the crime. Now with another serious case like this, the Manitowoc County Police, as well as the prosecutor, need to avoid suspicion. They will not be involved in the following investigations of these cases. The cases are handled by the police and the prosecutor next to them, the County of Calumet. The case was investigated for several months, until March 1, 2006. The investigators held a press conference. At the conference they announced the shocking news that Stephen's nephew had pleaded guilty. Not only that, but he also testified to Stephen. Stephen's nephew, named Brandon, is 16 years old, has an IQ of 69 and is mildly mentally retarded. Brandon admitted to violating and killing Teresa, a 25-year-old female photographer, along with his uncle Stephen. Brandon said. At 3 p.m. on October 31st, the day of the crime, he returned home from school. He took a letter out of his mailbox. The letter was addressed to his uncle Stephen. His uncle lived next door. Brandon knocked on Stephen's door. Soon after, Stephen opened the door. Brandon saw that Stephen was not dressed properly and was sweating profusely. When Brandon looked into the bedroom, he saw that Teresa was handcuffed and chained up. Police believe that Stephen invited Brandon to join him in the sexual violation of Tricia. Stephen then killed her with a knife. Stephen asked Brandon to move Tricia to her Toyota. And then Stephen said it would be better to burn it, so Stephen dragged her out of the car and shot Teresa 5 times to her head and her stomach. Brandon stated that Stephen's finger was cut that day and there was a small wound that was bleeding. That would explain why there was Stephen's blood in Teresa's car. The police were suspicious of Stephen's nephew, Brandon, because they found some of the bodily remains in a burning barrel in Brandon's yard. However, did he really say that? So how police planted all those evidence to Stephen Avery? How police make Brandon confession? Let us discuss all in part 2, our next video. See you next week. In The Crime Investigator.